Jesus, as we just heard, was invited to dinner at the house of one of the Pharisees, and never one to miss a teaching opportunity, he talked to them about meals and dinner and how they should be. So never one to miss an opportunity. Flags and roundabouts have been the order of this week, and not inviting people to the UK's table. So I've been wondering, how can I make those a teaching opportunity to think about hospitality? And I might not be going where you think, so just withhold your judgment for a moment. So let's start with Luke and the second half of our Luke passage. Jesus said to those gathered, and we read that there were Pharisees and lawyers and educated people, and it feels quite pointed when he says this. When you invite people round, you shouldn't invite those that you know you can gain from, which is clearly exactly what the Pharisee had done. And to be fair to him, that was a societal norm, wasn't it? In a culture that valued position and honour and power, as we talked about last week, actually. So networking over a meal was valuable. It was about building worthwhile connections and being seen with the right people. But Jesus says, well, hang on a minute, I think you should do it differently. You should invite those who cannot repay you or who you can't benefit from. The poor and the blind, for example, as he says. The people that were usually the outcast in society, the ignored, those who were never going to be invited to dinner anywhere if we face it. But when you do, he says, then you will be blessed and you'll be repaid in eternity. Because the way that the world does hospitality is conditional, isn't it? I mean, let's think about it for a moment. Who do we invite into our homes? I would imagine it's normally those we know and love, those we have fun with, family. We set the order of the day. We decide whether we're eating at evening or lunch. We decide what we will eat and when. We'll decide where, dining room, kitchen table. You know, I once wrote a piece about my kitchen table. It's on my website if you're interested. But in it, I wrote about the table being a gift from God. And it really has been. For many reasons, but for one is that it has hosted so many meals and conversations with so many diverse people. Home groups, prayer times, coffee with neighbours, waifs and strays too. And that table has seen so much emotion, so much prayer, so much sharing. And we have been free with our invitations to sit around it. We still have that table, by the way. It very nearly got sold when we moved here, but I'm thankful we didn't. So who do we invite to our tables? Who do we invite to share our lives? Perhaps it's those that we connect with, those that we like, those that we respect. And we might ask, particularly at the moment, who do we invite into our country? Is it just those that we gain from? And just hold on to that for a moment. I'm going to come back to it. Jesus' form of hospitality is unconditional, and it's for all. It's for, as we heard, the poor and the crippled and the lame and the blind, the outcasts, the refugees, for the people that annoy us, the immigrant, the street community, the rejected, the person that we just cannot face talking to, the people who have different politics from us, the Tories, the Reformers, the liberal lefties and the Greens. It means welcoming the other, the one different from us, the stranger. It means going out of our way, not just giving second best or good enough. It's getting out the best china, the fancy tablecloth, the Christmas cutlery. It is the kind of hospitality that makes us uncomfortable and even vulnerable. We don't know what to expect or what's going to happen or what's going to be said. It means lowering our human expectations about learning to be in difference. It is exactly what we are modelling here at St Edward's. And I know that some of us here disagree quite profoundly on matters of theology, and yet we still find a way to be together in our difference. We are not ensuring that our position is the right one, but listening to one another. Last weekend, as I'm sure we all saw, across the country, George crosses appeared on roundabouts and flags flown all over the place. Some of us were appalled. Some of us were glad of a peaceful protest against our country's immigration system at present. Now, it won't be any surprise to you that I wasn't a fan. I found it offensive and othering. I found it the opposite of a love your neighbour approach. But I was challenged by a fellow member of clergy and the Newsagents podcast, which I can recommend to you, that we shouldn't label people and we should listen to each other and those who are worried about immigration. Now, clearly there are some, and I think it's the marginal few, who want to cause a bit of aggro, and there have been some racist comments out there which are wholly unacceptable. But I realise that just as much as I feel that all should be welcomed here, there are many others with genuine concerns about immigration. And I felt really challenged by my clergy friend here, because if at St Edward's we are trying to create a welcome for all, and yet this week I was labelling those with a different view to me. As I posted on our Facebook page, as a nation we seem to have lost the ability to disagree well or to seek to understand one another in our difference. Do you know, it's interesting that St George was not the original patron saint of England. In fact, there's been a few. Who was one of them? Thank you. George's heritage is actually Turkish and Palestinian. He fought for the Roman army and is revered as both a saint in the Western Church and by Muslims. He is the very model of mixed cultures and difference. So I wonder if we can learn something from St George and seek to understand one another in our difference. Right now, I think there are those who are angry, who are worried and fearful and anxious from both political viewpoints that we've seen recently. Some of us here have very different political views, just as our theological views, but all are welcome here. Maybe some of us this week would have flown the flag and others would not. But as a family, as a nation, we need to listen to one another. We need to seek to understand each other and truly learn from one another, not just with flags, but in all things. I've said this before, and I say it with absolute love in my heart, that it's messy and untidy here. And I love that. You know, we're a community that doesn't label one another. As a church, it's really hard to define us. People don't know what box to put us in. And yet people are intrigued by us, want to know how we're doing what we're doing and how we're learning from one another. We're making an impact in this town. Just this week, I've had people in the community saying to me that they really appreciate what we're doing here as a church. I've had a fellow member of clergy asking if they could visit to find out about what we're doing here. And I think what we're doing here is kingdom hospitality. Don't get me wrong, it's bloody hard at times. I'm sure it is for some of you as well. You know, we might have to swallow our feelings, we might have to swallow our pride sometimes. It's about saying sorry more often. We might need to listen to opinions we disagree with in order to understand one another. We might even have to lower our own expectations to welcome one another in. But what we are building here is radical generosity. It is abundant grace. It's letting go of judgment and exclusion, whatever that looks like, and opening the door to each other more often. And that, I think, is a lesson for so many people around us. So let's keep going. Amen. Let's just take a moment.